said, Grav, what have you done? I asked you to take care of him, not put him in bloody hospital.
Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined by Grav himself. That's Gareth J Bale. Welcome to the programme, Gareth.
Pleasure to be with you.
It's been an interesting week for you, isn't it, to take the show to the Principality Stadium?
Yeah, incredible. It's something that I never thought would ever happen. But this play just keeps going on and on. You know, we did New York. We thought that was bonkers. Then Washington. And then Principality Stadium for the national squad, you know, incredible.
How did that come about, Gad? Did you get a phone call off Warren Gatlin or Rob McBride?
Well, as it happens, Robbie McBride came to see it in Llanelli when we were touring there last year. And obviously they were big mates. And Robin took over then from Grav as the keeper of the sword in the Eisteddfod. So they were big mates, and Robin saw it. And afterwards he spoke to me and said, I'd like you to do that for the squad. And I thought, well, you know, that would be wonderful. But it's one of those things that you think, well, is that really going to come off? And he was true to his word, and he got me in.
Wow. Because the last time I saw you, Gareth, it was in Washington of all places, and you say that the show's taking you all around the place. How did it come about in the first place? Whose idea was it, and how did you get the gig?
It was my idea. I was travelling down to Milford Haven to work on another show, and I was with an actress who said, you should always have a one-man show in your back pocket. Every actor should have a one-man show in their back pocket so that if times are hard, you can just do it. And I thought, okay. Yeah. And obviously driving in that neck of the woods, past Llanelli, Kidwelly, down that way towards Milford Haven, I thought, Ray Gravell, what an idea. And I spoke to the director of The Torch then about it, and he said, I'll produce and direct that for you. And a mate of mine then decided to write it. So, yeah, incredible.
I mean, it is an incredible story because it's not just about rugby. It's about a man who went through so many different things in his life. It goes right back to his early years.
Yes, it certainly does. And that's why it's such a universal story, you know, a very human story. So I think that's why it works outside Wales as well. I mean, we sold out at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And it's because of that. And we don't shy away from that either. And I don't think Grav would want us to, you know, because he had this incredible knack of turning negatives into positives, such as his diabetes, which must have been a really difficult time for him. And I'm sure he had some quiet times and some down times. But when he came through that, he used it as a positive to raise awareness, you know, for other people. And he raised a lot of money through that. So the diabetes is something that we touch upon. And obviously, throughout his life, he carried with him the fact that, the relationship with his mum and dad, and especially finding his dad on the side of the mountain where his dad had killed himself.
Yeah, I mean, that affected him through his whole life. But he rose above it. Did you know him at all? Did you meet him at all?
I worked with him on a programme for S4C called A470, A470. And we were mates in it. We were good buddies in it. And it was terrific just to be with him. He'd worked at that stage with Louis Malle, Peter O'Toole, all these wonderful actors. And he was still saying to me, was that all right now? Was I okay? You're the professional. And I was just out of college. I was more or less fresh out of college. He had a CV, you know, much longer than mine. But he was still very humble. And whenever we spoke, you know, during the breaks and things like that, he'd speak to anyone. And it would always be about them, not him. He would never boast about his own achievements. It was incredible, really. He was a very special man.
Yeah, I remember Grav actually around 2006, 2007 when I first got into the Welsh squad. You know, about 15, 20 minutes before you go out onto the pitch, just coming in from the warm-up, you know, trying to stay in the zone, and Grav would be pitch side, and you'd always have to stop and have a word with him. You know, he's always there smiling, and you had to zone out a little bit, give him a minute and a half to have a chat with him, because, like you say, he was such a nice guy. And did that come across obviously in the play then, Gaz, as well, did it?
Yeah, certainly. It's written beautifully, and his nature comes across in it. Well, I hope it does anyway. But yeah, very, very kind man, as you say, and I'm sure, you know, being in the tunnel 15 minutes before kick-off, he must have been hard work sometimes, but it was always, you know, because of his love for Wales, and he just wanted us to win so much. I mean, he would be bouncing off the walls there on Saturday, wouldn't he? You know, Wales, 100%. England. Oh, God.
Yeah. And you performed in front of his wife and daughters as well. Is that the first time you performed in front of them, or have they seen you before?
No, they've been really, really supportive from the start, and we wouldn't have done it without their permission. And they're just behind it now. They came out to New York to see it. They came up to Edinburgh to see it. They've seen it in Llanelli and in Mynydd y Garreg. So, yeah, it's incredible. You know, their support is wonderful, and it must be very difficult for them. But, yeah. Every time I perform Grav, I think of him and I think of them, and I want to do it justice for them.
We've been talking about motivating and inspiring people, and Grav was like that. Now then, you've had that job this week. You had to go into the English dressing room to perform this play. How did that? What was that experience like? Because it's all actually set in a dressing room, so that's the right place to do it. Why the English dressing room?
Yeah, well, the boys from the Torch Theatre Company, the technicians, they went up and had a look, and there were things around like Welsh training, so the Welsh team were going to use the home changing room for their training session, so we looked at the other one, and the other one actually, the warm-up area in the away changing room then, which is also the changing room that Real Madrid used for the Champions League final. The warm-up area there just suited us perfectly, we could get 60 or 70 seats in, and we could get our set in, and as I say, the boys did a great job to get it in there, to fit it in.
Yeah. The away changing room used to be the home one actually, didn't it? And they swapped it round then. I think Warren Gatland decided to swap it. So the away changing room now is actually bigger than the home changing room, isn't it?
Oh, well.
That's right, yeah. And bizarrely, the Wales football team still use that one as their home one. So when they played there last year against, who did they play last year? Brazil, was it? No, Spain, man. They lost to Spain 3-0, didn't they? And they used that changing room. So Spain were in the Wales rugby changing room.
Okay, so you did the show. Every turns out. What was the night like? What was the experience like for you, Gareth? You performed in front of lots of crowds, but obviously, again in front of the Welsh rugby team on such a big week as well. How was it for you, as they say?
Yeah, it was surreal, and I did feel a bit of a responsibility, when you're playing Grav in front of the squad, coming up, leading up to the England game. I did feel a bit of responsibility, and I walked out, and in the front row, which is, literally 6 feet away from me, I've got Warren Gatland, Rob Howley, Alan Wyn-Jones, and just behind them, Ken Owens. So, yeah, I'll never have that again. It was incredible. I was lucky as well. My family were there. The writer's family, the director, and so we had a good bit of support in there, and yeah, it was just bonkers. And then afterwards, I think when you tell people that you're going to do a play about a rugby player, they almost feel as though it's going to be anecdotes, tales from the back of the bus, that kind of thing. But it's not. It's a play, and as I say, it's beautifully written. And pretty much every one of them said to me afterwards that they were surprised at how emotional it was. So, hopefully that'll get them going for Saturday.
Yeah, it's come out, a few of the boys were in tears at the end, they got?
Yeah, so I hear, George North was saying that really about Ken Owens. Yeah. And Ken, obviously, he's from that area, isn't he? And he would have grown up probably idolising someone like Grav. So I think it did resonate with him, and Robin McBride, of course, as well. And it is a story about a boy and the relationship with his father. And, of course, we've all been there, we can all relate to that. So I think that's why it hit a nerve.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things, because I knew Ray, fairly well, because we broadcast on the same radio station. Maldwen, what's going on, Maldwen? It was always a big. I remember somebody said to me once, they came into the BBC in Swansea. They said, "Is Ray Gravell in?" And I went, "Can you hear anything?" And they said no. And I said, "In that case, he's not here," because you always knew when Ray was in the building. I always
I bet.
His life was Technicolor, whereas everybody else seemed to be a little bit black and white. You mentioned that story about Louis Malle. Now then, because he got the job, he was playing a driver. I think he was driving Jeremy Irons in that particular film.
That's right.
And he knew about the part, and he had his script. And for 3 months before he actually did the film, he'd actually go around the whole chorus going, "To the ministry, sir. To the ministry, sir. To the ministry, sir." He was like, "How do you think I did? Do you think I did it all right? What do you think?" And I'm trying to think now. Who was he? Louis Malle's wife was Leslie Caron. Is that right? Very famous French actress. Anyway, and of course, Ray would talk to anybody. He did talk to anybody, and he's having a little chat to this very, very famous actress over lunch in the canteen, maybe in Pinewood or Shepperton, and he says, "So what do you do? What do you do then, love?" And I think she'd been Oscar nominated, but he did talk to everybody. I mean, the show keeps on going tonight. We've got you as you perform in Brecon. Tomorrow, where are you playing tomorrow?
I'm in Pontardawe tomorrow, so that's my hometown, so big night tomorrow night. And then next week we do Cardiff, and then we're touring South Wales. We do Villinfach is the last one in Wales, which is on the 15th of March, which is going to be great. And then I go up to London. I do 4 in London, so in the Hope Theatre, Islington. That's going to be wonderful as well, I think.
Brilliant. Have they given you hospitality tickets for the match on Saturday, Gar?
Unfortunately not, but I work as the Toastmaster there, so I'll be at the game.
Oh, that's good.
I will be there. Looking forward to it.
One last story about Ray. When he passed away, I was actually working with one of the Osmonds, Merrill Osmond.
Yeah.
In fact, we were recording in this little studio here, and he got so caught up in the story of Ray. You know, we watched the funeral together, and we did a radio program from the BBC when they had a book of condolences. You could sign it and send it to Mary and the girls. And he turned to me afterwards and he said, I just hope when my time comes that people feel the same way about me as they do about Ray Gravell. So you know, he even somebody who didn't know about his career, they just knew that this man was a passionate man and that people really
he's a great
loved
man. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
Gareth, I know you've got a show to do tonight, so all the very best with that, and we really appreciate you taking the time to join us on Hooked on Rugby.
Thanks so much,
thanks for having me. It's been terrific.
Well, just for us to say thanks ever so much for joining us. Thanks to Gareth, and join us next time for
Hooked on Rugby.